Time on the track.
You already know what this is, man. I'm talking about No Rap Cap Podcast, man. I'm talking about podcast medicine, audio dope, man. Can't get this shit over the counter. You gotta come rock with us, man. I go by Gas the Realest.
I'm Mr. MEANA, the motivator, brother. Here to motivate the nation. You know what I'm talking about?
That's what it is, man. We got a special guest in the building, man. I'm talking about Black Queens forever, man. I'm talking about Snow Bunnies. What?
Never.
Yes, sir.
Man. We got
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Umar in the building, man.
Peace and
I'm talking about-
Pan-Africanism. Glad to be here.
That's what it is, man. Sincerely, brother. We appreciate you coming
No doubt.
and rock with us,
No
man.
doubt.
That's so real.
No doubt.
Man, people don't even they don't need no introduction, man. The whole world know who you is, man. So we just gonna jump into it, man. I want to just solely jump into this, man, because this is something I really want to ask you personally. So, far as like just like the slogan I just said, "Snow Bunnies never." How you think like a person even getting to that? It's cool if they didn't been with multiple sisters and they tried that and then they went to the Snow Bunnies. You against that too?
Of course, because it's about loyalty to your race. There's more African women on the planet than any other group of females. So with Black women being the largest female population on the earth, if you cannot find a Black woman in the continental North America, why not go to continental South America? Why not go to the Caribbean? Why not go to Canada? Why not go to the original Africans of Mexico? You can go to Australia. I was just in Australia for the first time. Beautiful African queens over there. Why not go to the continent itself? You can even go to Asia and find African women there. I just met a gentleman when I debated Elon Musk's father at the Oxford Union last week, and I met a brother there. He was Iraqi, but he was talking to me about the original Iraqis who are African, who are still in Iraq, blue, black, purple skin, who trace their ancestry back to the continent. So you can find Black women anywhere. So what excuse do we have as Black men not to stay loyal to our women?
I run deep, but you know, like a lot of people, a lot of men that have dated African American women or whatever, Black women, whatever, they feel like they go through this thing about them being submissive toward them, and they feel like when they go into at least the Caucasian or Asian race or whatever, they are trained to be more submissive to their counterpart. So
But it makes sense though. Why? Because the Caucasian woman is a privileged woman. So she doesn't have to have a tough exterior. She doesn't have to struggle with insecurities around whether or not my man is going to stay with me or leave me when he comes across, you know, the next woman, or is he going to end up, you know, being incarcerated for something he didn't even do, you know, or not come home because he was murdered by the police for something he didn't, you know, even do. So I understand why the white woman is submissive. She benefits from white privilege. She can be submissive to you. But if you ever get out of line, she can make one phone call and destroy your whole life. So the Caucasian woman isn't concerned about the Black man taking advantage of her because she can upset his whole apple cart whenever she feels like it. I understand why the Black woman has insecurities about the Black man, because she has been left to raise the children on her own. Not necessarily because of any wrongdoing on our part, but given the war against Black men and the mass incarceration of Black men, our women have been left raising 75% of our children alone for the past 50 years. Why should she be happy with us? And we see her struggling to raise boys on her own, and we rarely come to her support. So there is a history to why Black women are a little less trusting. There's a history as to why Black women are a little bit more masculine in their presentation, because many Black women didn't grow up with a father, and they were abused by men, so they had to get tough in order to prevent rape, to prevent sexual exploitation. And here's what we need to understand as Black men: two things. Number one, A black woman by nature is designed to submit. But you have to be strong enough for her to put confidence in you that will warrant her submission.
To lead, for you to lead.
Every black woman is designed to submit. And I would argue every black woman wants to submit. Their question is, what am I submitting to? And what am I submitting for?
Facts.
You got black men saying, I want the queen to submit. You ain't paying no bills. You ain't helping her with no children. She's submitting to you for what? Where is the reciprocity? She's going to put you on the throne as the king. Mm-hmm. But are you going to put her on the throne as the queen?
Right.
The respect that we want has to be earned. It's not given just because you're a male. It has to be earned.
Some of that stuff on the other side is basically that's what you're saying also too. Just because a woman is a woman, that's basically. But you're saying it ain't the same because a male is a male.
Well, see, here's the thing. The reason why our women don't see us eye to eye on this conversation is from their perspective, and I understand it. From their perspective, how dare y'all? How dare y'all tell us we gotta submit when y'all not in control of nothing? I have to submit to you, and then I got to go to work and submit to the white man. No woman should have to submit to two different men. There's going to be one king. If it's going to be you, be that. And if it's going to be the white man, he going to be that. But I'm not going to go and struggle for 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, dealing with this white racist. I got to submit to him as it is. And then I got to come home and submit to you. If you my king, why the hell I got to go submit to the cracker in the first place?
Right. But you know, the struggles of the black man is that we're not granted pretty much the same opportunities as the white man is.
That is true.
In position. So that puts us in it's unequal. You know what I'm saying?
It is unequal. It is and because it's unequal, the same argument could be made for our sisters. If we're forced to give a little as men to the white man, then we should also be accepting of her needing to ask for a little bit more too. We have to make an adjustment because of the racism. So we must allow her to make an adjustment as well. Right. Because if we're not the white man's equal economically, why are we expecting her to submit to the same degree that a white woman does when a white woman ain't got to worry about nothing else when she submits to the white man? She ain't never got to submit to a black man.
That's true, and that
the white woman ain't never got to submit to no black man. But the black woman got to submit to a white man and then come home and submit to a black man.
That'll make you think like, because what you're saying, I agree, but that'll make you start thinking like, damn, why that my girl or my significant other, the way that I want her to act to me, that's how she act to the boss at work. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, they well respect the boss, the white boss at work. The stuff that you wanted to do at home, she do that voluntarily to the white boss. That make you start thinking that, like, damn, I want my, why you don't act like that with me at home? You do everything for the boss.
Right. Here's my question. She gets a paycheck from the boss.
Yeah.
She's getting medical benefits and dental from the boss. She's getting retirement and pension from the boss. What is she getting from us?
Well, the struggle like that we face with. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Here's what I'm saying. Here's where I think we bring it all together. Because everyone's correct in what we're saying here. Here's the question I have for us as the men. Should we be focusing on trying to get our women to accept us where we are? Or should we be trying to build collectively to where we need to be so she will willingly submit? Sometimes when I have these conversations, not with you two brothers, but with others, I almost feel like the brothers just want the women to accept us as we are with no questions. That's not fair. So what I'm saying is let us work together and build the reality she needs to feel comfortable enough in that would make her willing to submit to us.
That sounds like a lifetime.
Hey, I know.
It ain't no lifetime.
But I could
I'm
use
just
I could use a real situation to deflect some of that. Like matter of fact, Travis Hunter situation. Like that's somebody he been with who when he wasn't ready. You see what I'm saying? That chick, he got married with that girl and got no prenup. A bunny.
Which I don't agree with. I think he should have
But
got
he
a
didn't
prenup.
come ready, like you were saying. He didn't come ready. She was with him as is.
What about the ugly?
But she was with him as is. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know when she met him,
In college.
That's a big factor.
but from what I understand, he was already a well-known athlete when she got with him.
In college. She
So
didn't
I
even
could-
acknowledge him at first. She didn't
Yes,
even know him
I
like
couldn't
that.
treat that situation as a traditional snow bunny meets a brother who's struggling and builds him. He was already
all right.
built. And biologically, she's not a snow bunny, although psychologically she might be. Her mother is a dark-skinned woman. She showed her. I was shocked. Her mother's a dark-skinned woman, right? She's Latino, but the mother Afro-Latino. I don't know what the father is per se, right? But I would still possibly consider her a snow bunny because I don't think she identifies as black.
No, she identified as a snow bunny. So that prenuptial shit, that you don't agree with that.
What you mean? He should have got a prenup.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
He should have got a prenup.
You should have got a prenup.
He should have got a prenup. And that is not a knock on her. That's not a knock on her. You're dealing with that kind of money, you prenup it up because, as you know, in American society, the quickest way for these women to get paid is through a divorce or a rape allegation.
But most of them females say like that, that's like you saying like something gonna happen. If nothing ain't gonna happen and we don't want nothing to
I
happen.
completely
why we-
disagree with that. For me, a prenup doesn't say I'm expecting this not to work. For me, a prenup says that we are in this relationship to exclusively focus on building a relationship between us. In other words, for me, a prenup keeps my finances out of the equation of this relationship. That's what it means to me.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
I totally
That's what it
agree.
means to me.
It's a protection.
So
for
with her
sure.
mother being like of a dark skin complexion, do she still carry what you call the what it is, the mitochondrian DNA? Like, because I heard you speak that
She might, because the mother chocolate. So that princess, she probably has the mitochondrial DNA.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
A lot of Latino African women, if they are African, because remember, Latino is an ethnicity in a culture. You can be white Latino, you can be black Latino, you could be so-called indigenous Latino, the Taino, right? So if you're Afro, anything, Afro-Latino, Afro-American, whatever, you got that mitochondrial DNA.
And what makes that so special in black women having that? What
Because
separates them?
it is the genetic code to humankind. The black woman carries within her the genetic code for modern man. Think about that. The black woman's DNA contains the entire matrix of human civilization, and she's the only woman who has it.
No, that's
So we
wrong.
are
That's
not
wrong.
all the same.
That's wrong. How you?
But see, here's my question then, to that point. If we are the original people, we have the oldest DNA strain in civilization because we go back to the beginning of time. Nobody else has that. We come from God, everybody comes from us. If you recognize your godliness, and if she recognizes her goddessness, why would you want to plant your seed in Neanderthal soil? Why would you want your child to be mixed with the DNA of your slave master? That's a sickness.
So do you look at it?
Nah, that's
but do
That's
you
a sickness.
But do you look at it the same way as like I've heard some young brothers or older men either say that these white men slept with our women
And we paying them
did
back.
whatever, and right now we just giving them back what
Payback.
they gave us.
How are you paying them back when the white man slept with and took advantage of our women? He was in charge of the society. And it was the power that accrued to him from being in charge of the society that gave him the prerogative to abuse our women sexually. If we're paying them back, what are we getting from these white women that we're bringing back to the black community that's helping us further our people? I'll wait for an answer.
Nah, I'm
What are we getting from them?
soaking it up.
We ain't getting nothing from these white girls. They ain't giving you ish.
Right.
How you even got on the type of time to even be this, like to beat Dr. Umar? Like how you even like? You wasn't always like this. Like how did something happen?
Since 9, I was.
Yeah, I'm saying since 9.
We lived in Jacksonville, North Carolina. My father was a drill instructor for the United States Marine Corps. He was a pretty rough father. And I didn't have an older brother. So I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be the older brother that other children can speak with. So in 3rd grade in Jacksonville, I decided I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. When my parents divorced, we returned to Philly. The elementary school I attended to, I'm from the same neighborhood as Bill Cosby. The elementary school I returned to had a black history class. So I took black history 4th and 5th grade. That was also my introduction to public speaking. I entered the black history oratorical contest. I won 1st place both years. So the black consciousness and the public speaking were both born at the same time at the age of 9. And it's been with me ever since. The next year, my father took me to my first family reunion, Baltimore, Maryland. I'll never forget it because I jumped in the deepest part of the swimming pool in the Days Inn Hotel, and I started to drown, and my older sister, Elisa, jumped in and tried to save me, and I guess I almost drowned her, so she left me. So guess who saved me? A snow bunny. I saw 2 white titties and I grabbed them. Wherever she at, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Wherever you are, Karen, you saved the future of the black race. Thank you very much. And it was that weekend that we were at a church at the family reunion, and we walking in the back of the church. I don't know if I almost drowned before the church or after the church, but it's all this Frederick Douglass stuff. His Bible, his hat, his shoes. And of course, I learned about him in the class. So I asked my father, I said, what's all this Frederick Douglass stuff doing at the family reunion? He said, because you related to him. I was like, what?
Hold on. He told you, how old you was when he told you this?
9.
At the reunion?
That was
9?
6th grade, so I was probably 11 or 12.
And you remember that all the way until you start messing with it? Because I just started hearing you say that.
No, I've been saying that.
About the descendant of the Fred. Well, people saying that, how you even found that out?
Because the history of our family was never lost because they always kept it through slavery. So, for example, when my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey, this is the same cousin Stephen that Frederick talks about in Narrative of the Life. That's my 4 times great-grandfather. Frederick Douglass presented him and his wife, my grandmom Caroline, a Bible for their 50th wedding anniversary with all the names of all their children in it. So the record was always there. And our family has been having family reunions, I think, back to the 1940s or something like that. So they didn't have to dig it up. You know how sometimes you got to dig it up?
Right.
No, they just carried it down.
Preserved it.
They preserved it. So I didn't have to do no digging.
So is that ancestry thing, that's real though?
What?
Ancestry.com. Like
That's
going
real.
back that way.
Like,
Ancestry.com
So we can find out that same shit that you did, but that way.
Yes, but it can be kind of difficult when you get into the slave records because not all records were well recorded. Not all records were preserved well enough. You know what I mean? Remember, we were born without birth certificates. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they pretty sophisticated, but there still might be gaps where you're going to have to go to the historical society in the county where your enslaved Africans were. You may have to go to the main public library in the county where your ancestors were. In terms of tracing your ancestry, if you know the first and last name in the county of birth or death, you can put your whole tree together. If you know who and you know where, you can find them. And the more well-known your ancestors were, the easier they are to trace. So if they was a pastor, business owner, entertainer, it's going to be easier to find them because they would have been in the newspapers, right? Or if they was a notorious criminal, right? Because you can look up the criminal records. It's only when nobody really knew them and they didn't really have any children where it can get difficult to find.
So I'm thinking while you was talking about, I'm like, no, I did been hearing you say that, but I think it was a headline or something that I seen somewhere. I don't know if this was cap or it was a real family. It's like saying like they debunking what
No.
saying.
You're talking about, okay, first of all, the Bailey family, right, is a very large family. So Isaac and Betsy Bailey which is the grandparents who raised Frederick and my grandfather Steve, right?
That Ford when you were talking about.
Yes. Well, Stephen is 4. Isaac and Betsy will be my 6 times great grandparents. So the grandparents who raised Frederick Douglass and my grandfather Steve will be my 6 times great grandparents, right? Mm-hmm. They had about 12 children. And each of those children had a lot of children because the slave masters needed us to reproduce so we could work the fields, right? We was enslaved in Eastern Shore, Maryland, right? Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and Henry Highland Garnett, the grandfather of Pan-Africanism, they all come from one county away from each other, right? So if you think of all these children, and each of them have children, and each of them, you follow? We are probably tens of thousands all over the world. There's bellies, you feel me? It's a very large family. The person who put out the lie that I was not, first of all, what he said was true, and what I said was true. What do I mean? He said Dr. Umar is not a descendant of Frederick Douglass. That is true. I'm not a descendant. I'm a descendant of Stephen and Caroline Bailey. Frederick is my cousin, not my grandfather. Right?
Right.
I never said he was my grandfather.
Right.
He knows I never said he was my grandfather, but to throw the people off, he doesn't say Dr. Umar is not a descendant of Frederick Douglass, but he is a member of the Bailey family. He never said that part. He never said he's a descendant of Stephen Bailey, Frederick's brother. He never said that. So to play mind games with the people, he just said, Dr. Umar is not a descendant of Frederick Douglass. Right? You see?
Right.
Which is true.
Right.
So why not clarify and say he is a member of the Bailey family? He is a descendant of Stephen and Caroline. He is a cousin to Frederick Douglass. Right. His name is on the family tree. He didn't put it there. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So he played with the people. So that letter that he sent to Roland Martin, Swollen Martin, that wasn't from the family. That was from one coon in the family. Right. But I'll be honest with you. I don't go to family reunions no more. You want to know why? Because when he was pushing all that shit, everybody in his large-ass family is sitting there watching this man distort the truth. Anybody could have clarified. You feel me?
Right.
They all know who I am. Anybody could have clarified and said, stop. This man never said he was a descendant of Frederick Douglass. He recites his family tree at the end of damn near every lecture. Listen to what he says. You feel me?
Right.
They never clarified. And the reason they didn't clarify is because there's haters in that camp. So you got to understand something. Me being a revolutionary Pan-Africanist and a Garveyite, that don't sit well with a lot of people, including people in the Bailey clan. Right. Do you feel me? Totally. They want no association with me for what I stand for. So they allow that to persist. And because they let it persist, I said, I'm not going to no more family reunions. Now I may end up taking my children or grandchildren because I do want them to go to know, right? But I didn't appreciate that because anybody could have shut that down and they chose not to.
Right. I'm thinking of that because that's so much of a proof, even what you said about the family reunion at 9. If they had all the stuff there, like how could you not be if your
I've been going to
reunion at
family
9 with
reunions since the 6th grade.
Right.
That's how you
Who don't know who the hell I am?
That's how you came across it, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's how you came across
Come
the
on.
information.
Come on. I'd have been to family reunions with my uncles, my aunts, my grandma. Come on. They all know who the hell I am.
Right.
And they chose to let that ride because they don't agree with what I stand for. But here's the bigger point. And this is what I said. I've only been invited to speak on Frederick Douglass twice in my whole career. Kutztown University of Pennsylvania Frederick Douglass Institute, and just 2 or 3 months ago in Cincinnati, the Frederick Douglass Foundation. Do you hear me?
Right.
2 organizations invited me to speak on Frederick Douglass. My thousands and thousands of public addresses through the years have absolutely nothing to do with Frederick Douglass. But he was saying that I was benefiting myself off of Frederick Douglass's name. Ninja how?
Right.
Don't nobody invite me to Africa because I'm related to Frederick Douglass.
Right.
I don't get invited to graduations because I'm related to Frederick. This is all based on my work.
Right,
Frederick Douglass was not a Pan-Africanist nor a psychologist. So what are y'all talking about?
Right.
I'm going to tell you what they're talking about. As you know, Frederick Douglass is the most popular black leader in American history. Not even Dr. King can touch him, right? There are people in that family who wanted to corner themselves as the expert on the life of Frederick Douglass.
Right.
They saw me as a threat
Right.
to the money train. If people keep associating Dr. Umar with Frederick Douglass, how are we gonna hustle?
Right. Because he got more popularity than all of us.
Than all of them put together. Nigga, please.
Right. Like, you got something?
Yeah, I got a question. So, you know, you're real educated on slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which, you know, your name is Dr. Umar Johnson. And, you know, they usually say our last name comes from slave plantations.
For sure.
With you being so educated about slavery, why you never changed your name, your last name?
But I have. My name is Ifatunde Oguntade.
What name is it?
Ifate.
And the reason I'm so proud of that name, I want y'all to understand why. And I have several African names. I got several African names,
I never
right?
heard that one, though, right?
But the reason why Ifatunde Oguntade is so personal to me is I got that name when I received my first ever Yoruba spiritual divination at the Oyotunji African Village 1 week after my first visit to the Nat Turner Trail, November 19th of 2011. My name wasn't given from an elder. It was given through divination. So after I received my first divination, and divination is the process by which a trained and initiated priest calls up to the oracle, which is a divinity appointed by God to help people achieve their destiny, right? So in getting that reading at the end, the Babalawo, which means father of secrets, he's the priest in Ifa, which is the Yoruba spiritual system. Ifa means destiny, right? So he says, you got to get an African name. I said, let's do it. So there's a process of casting. And based on the way that the shells fall, that's a particular energy pattern that relates to a particular reality. And so when he cast on the first name, it was no. He cast again, it was no. He cast again, it was no. And then I think it was the fourth cast, it said yes to Ifatunde. And he had to go through the same process for my last name, which is Oguntade. So Ifatunde means destiny has returned. Oguntade means Ogun wears the crown. Ogun is the spirit of iron and justice in Ifa. He's the warrior, right? He owns all metal. He owns the sword, the gun, the airplane, the cell phone. So he's the father of technology. In ancient Yoruba court, you wouldn't swear on the Bible because there was no Bible. We older than that, right? You would swear on a piece of iron to tell the truth because Ogun is the defender and the guardian of all truth, right? So Ogun is my guardian angel. In African culture, you are born under the protection and you share many similar characteristics with your guardian angel. You choose that guardian angel in heaven before you incarnate because the job you have to do in this lifetime will require the protection of that particular energy, right?
I understand that.
Shango might be your guardian angel. Obatala might be your guardian angel. Oshun might be hers. Yemoja might be hers, okay? Obaluae could be his, right? Ibeji could be his. So because I am a fighter for black people, it's very clear to me that I needed Ogun because he's the warrior, right?
Right.
So that reading made it clear to me that the mission and purpose that I gave my life to is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
I'm glad you broke all that down because that makes me understand you a little bit more with dealing with all the backlash and stuff that comes with the struggle of what you're fighting for.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
yes.
With the school
Yes.
and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying?
Fight. And
right.
Ogun's main responsibility in the realm of spirit is to remove obstacles. He is the remover of obstacles, right? This problem, and as you said, I'm always coming up against some coon who's trying to put another obstacle, right? Obstacles with the school, obstacles with this, obstacles with that. And with a goon being the warrior, right? And the guardian of pure power, because he's the strongest Orisha. He pushes stuff out the way. To your point, if any other Orisha was my guardian angel, I don't know if I would have made it this far. You feel me?
Right.
I needed the strength of a goon.
You have to be on another destiny.
Exactly.
For that.
Exactly. So maybe in my next life,
Right.
I might need Shango for what I got to do. I might need Obatala for what I got to do. But for this shit here,
Right.
only Ogun would do.
Right.
Because I'm literally at war every day with something.
Right. And I want to talk about that. Like, you had some every day, and like you said, them other people, the people who said that had wrote that lie, you like, they don't stand by you because they know what you stand for. Amongst you saying, I got to keep fighting obstacle after obstacle. So is it a cap on Dr. Umar? Is it a cap on you? And could go so far of like just being Dr. Umar? Because it's always going to be another obstacle. Like you ain't getting nothing done.
If you know why you are here, you can bear almost any what. You feel me? Because I know I'm living my truth, I think that the Almighty will bless me with the endurance to continue. And again, anything that has to do with war and defense, that's Ogun. So endurance is Ogun. So people often ask me, how you keep going? Damn, this and this and the school and this, and you just get right back. That's Ogun. He don't stop until he wins. He is the manifestation of divine masculinity. You feel me?
Right.
So that's in my blood.
What's the struggle, that you face with aligning with? Because you're highly educated and you do fight a good fight. But aligning with, we have so many people that have millions and billions of dollars, right? And I'm quite sure, all
And
the
I know a lot of them.
Right. But I'm confused on.
But they never wrote a check.
That's what my concern is. And I'm like, why is that? Is
I think it's
because of higher
twofold.
power?
I
mean,
think
the people that's
definitely.
in a higher position?
You got to
That's
realize.
what I was meaning when I was saying there's a cap. Like you only could go so far because these people, these higher powers, like they stopping you, and that's why, like me asking that question, like why these other people with all these money not even rocking with Dr. Umar to do some of these things because the people I'm talking about is capping you out. 3
things I learned by being around these celebrities, who I love and respect. They're good people. 3 things I learned. They have all the money, but I have all the power. That's one of the biggest things that jumped out to me when I'm around them. You feel me?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is worth this amount of money. This guy worth this amount of money. This guy worth this and none of them could say the shit I say out of my mouth.
That's facts.
You feel me? I'm sitting there
facts,
like,
bro.
they got money. I'll never earn what they got. And they'll never be as free as I am.
Because is it true that if they was to try to align with you, that it's a possibility?
They can never publicly align with me. They'll destroy me.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
They
what
gonna
I'm
get
saying.
capped
They'll
out.
destroy you.
They would take away, the things
They'll
that they do
destroy
have.
you.
So that's why people might have to, that's why they choose to stay away at least. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
the fear,
Right.
but also the ego. This is what I mean by ego. You worth 50 mils. It's nothing for you to give me 2 mils to rehab the FDMG high school. But you know what? You want to brag about the fact you helped me. You can't brag about the fact you helped Dr. Umar because that's going to bring the attention from the elites and they're going to sit you down, right?
Yeah, you can cap
So
it
a
off.
lot of them could help me. The problem is what? I got to be able to brag about this. I got to be able to take a picture with a big check with Dr. Umar. You feel me?
That's what I was like. I'm
They
like,
want the bragging rights. Nigga, this ain't about that.
Nobody ever helped you in the industry? Like,
Nah.
Nobody?
I never got a
person?
donation from a celebrity.
Wow.
Damn, man.
That's
On
amazing to
any
me.
level.
Because I always
Low
thought,
celebrity, high celebrity, and I know them all. Many of them.
And the school still wind up getting done, right?
Yeah, right now, where we are now,
floors and paint.
done with the paint.
We're done with the
Floors and
Doors.
classroom locks.
Yeah.
Doors. Because we still got to replace the girls' bathroom door, the boys' bathroom door. We got to get all the rooms rekeyed, right?
16 rooms?
More than 16, but 16 got to be done with the floors.
Okay.
And we got really the floors because the locks, that ain't too big of a deal, right? We got to get the floors done. The problem is the YouTubian struggle stream has been telling people I collected millions of dollars, which we never broke a mill, right? So every contractor I bring to the school think what?
You got money.
We rich.
Right.
So they coming up 75,000.
Putting an extra wool on it.
50,000. You see what I'm saying? They don't know we don't have that money because they listen to them idiots on the internet, right? Claiming he collected 3 mil. Nigga, where?
But
3 mil, both my schools be up. What's wrong with you?
But couldn't the books be open to these potential investors? Like, meaning like I open up books to you to show you what we're working with, to actually show you where we at.
Oh,
so that
yeah,
we
if
can
I
move
find somebody who
forward.
got some real money, that ain't no problem.
Right.
But ain't nobody come to the table like that. You feel me?
Have you brought it to them, though?
It hasn't been a need. And the reason it hasn't been a need is the donations that we have received have been sufficient for us to get the job done for the small school. When we get across the street, we might have to go there. You got to remember, the people complaining about the school are YouTubian struggle streamers, not serious businessmen or women, just coons. You see what I'm saying? Who've never donated. They just don't want to see it successful because it's me.
Right.
You got people that, like you say, that never donated, but they talk like that to you. Like they talk like they're on that type of time. That you on and they just don't
But
move.
they don't write no checks. And I don't press them. I don't press them because I don't pocket watch. You want to donate, you donate. If you don't, you don't. And because I know everything is all about divine alignment, it might very well be the case that the creator don't want me getting help.
To align with them.
You feel me?
Right.
Because think about it. If you give me 2 G's and fix up that high school, what happens when you get accused of rape next year?
Right.
Now, Dr. Umar, who always tells the truth as he sees it, can't tell the truth as he see it no more because of who
He
being
aligned
accused.
with-
You
yeah,
feel
who
me?
he aligned with.
Right.
So to me, I'm not crying about it because the fact that none of these celebrities helped me get to where I am, when they mess up, I can constructively criticize them like I do anybody else.
Right.
No worse, you feel me? But no least either. You
Right,
see what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
it keeps me free.
Yeah. You ain't
Think about
it.
it.
Yeah. I don't owe
Think
you
about
that.
it.
Yeah, you're not tired.
If they
neutral.
dropping money like that, when they start cutting up, I gotta back them. I can't do that.
It's like politics.
That's
Yes.
crazy you said that because when Shannon Sharpe shit came up, you were like, I'm riding for Unc. I was like,
I'm riding with him.
Like mad with you about
No. I'm riding with him the same way I ride with Puff from the perspective of every black man has a right to a fair trial. That's it.
That's true.
I'm not saying you're guilty. I'm not saying you're innocent. I wasn't there. I'm just simply saying, based on what I see, this could be some nonsense, but let them get their day in court. Everybody got a right to due process. And when I see black people jump and say, nah, Shannon shouldn't have had the snow bunny, let him get crucified. Puffy should have never been having freak offs, let him get crucified. But I'm saying that's not what he's being accused of, though. We cannot make the mistake of telling a white man, go ahead and destroy one of ours, even if he's innocent of your charge, because we mad at him.
From
That's
the
real.
top.
That's
You
real.
feel me?
Real shit.
That's
Real
real.
You
shit.
feel me? That's all I'm saying.
Right.
But if the trial was to end, since you're saying that, if the trial was to end today for Puffy, what you got? What you
If the
gathered?
trial was the end of the day
Today.
for Puffy, I want to know how he don't go home. Because all I keep hearing about is freak-offs and domestic abuse. I don't support domestic violence, but domestic violence is a state charge, not fed.
Right.
Puffy was accused of RICO. He was accused of interstate sex trafficking and interstate prostitution. Where is the evidence? I keep hearing about Cassie freaking off in baby oil and pissing on people. Where is the evidence of the 3 federal charges? I don't see none.
Right.
Which makes me think, y'all never had nothing on him anyway. Y'all just wanted to disgrace him. Remember, I believe the reason Puffy got snatched because he sued Diageo, the liquor company, and made them
heard you
settle
talking
out of
about
court.
Or could it be also with the Epstein thing? Like, we don't hear anything about that no more.
Yeah,
We got
definitely a
the
distraction.
Abercrombie and
Yeah.
Fitch
Definitely a
guy.
distraction from
We don't
Epstein.
hear nothing about none of these
Yeah,
guys.
definitely a distraction. Or the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, it was a distraction.
Right.
And
he's
they
in
know
front.
black people love to eat up their own people. You feel me? We the only people who will publicly destroy our own to the benefit of the outsider. Nobody else doing that.
How we get that mind frame from doing that? Because you
Slavery.
We haven't operated as a unit since desegregation. Desegregation caused the disintegration of the black community. Everybody went for themselves, and we ain't been back together since.
And I want to hang about that, talk about that school for a second. So who is that for? Like who gonna be able to attend that school?
Well, you cannot legally exclude any child by race. You feel me?
Discrimination.
That's discrimination. They'll shut us down. So legally, I can't say that red, white, brown, and yellow children can't come because it's against the law, right? That's like if you're trying to get your kid in a white private school, they say he can't come because he's black. Lawsuit, right?
Right.
But do I expect non-black parents to send their kids to Dr. Umar's school? Right. You want them to learn voodoo ninja? Send their ass.
Right.
You feel me? It's going to be ancestors floating around in them hallways. You sure you want this cracker? You see what I'm saying? So, you feel me? So for me, the biggest protection against having non-black children is the fact I'm the principal. You feel me? Who want their white kids learning under me? Don't get me wrong. I'll treat them well. A child is a child. I don't care what color they is. But I don't think their parents are going to, be too interested in that.
You speak about empowering, the black community, or, the African community. And we went to the Black Wall Street, where
yes.
they bombed and
yes.
got rid of. Because I hear you saying that we don't have.
And Miss Fletcher is still alive. I believe she's 111 or 101. She's definitely a centenarian. And they sued and they threw out her suit. If I'm not mistaken, Oklahoma federal court struck down her reparations lawsuit as I believe the only or one of two of the only living survivors of the Tulsa race massacre. They refused to pay her.
Right.
And she's still living. She was there. Yeah, or 111. She over 100. It's either 101 or 111. She's still going strong too.
But I was bringing that up because of this, you know what I'm saying? I hear like in some of your speeches and lectures that you speak on, you talk about us having black banks and businesses and all that nature.
I own Black Wall Street. And we got more resources now than we had when Tulsa was around. So where's our Black Wall Street?
Right, but the question that I'm asking is why you think that we haven't empowered ourselves with more resources compared to them. Is it because of the bombing or what happened to them that we got this fear in us to not come together like that? Or
not for institutions. Now, if you said, to fight, stand up to the police or something like that, white militia, that's different. But in terms of us not having a Black Wall Street, it's because black people aren't interested in supporting anything all black.
And why?
We don't want anything. We love white folks. We are still suffering from the indoctrination of slavery that you are nobody without the Caucasian and you can't do nothing without the Caucasian. Black people are still hypnotized by white society.
And you think that would ever change? And like honestly,
for example, a lot of these Black Wall Streets, of course, Tulsa is the most popular.
Right.
A lot of these there was others.
Yeah.
Some of them were rebuilt. They were rebuilt. And guess what? The next generation, the children and grandchildren of the ancestors who built them, they said, we don't want this.
They gave it up.
I want to go live with white folks.
Right.
I don't need no Black Wall Street. I want to be a part of white Wall Street. They did not value independence.
And I can agree with you on that because I remember we had mom and pop store. I'm just talking about right here in New Orleans, small community spots. We used to always can go to the store. I used to can go in the store with an IOU to the store owner, get some rice and stuff, bring home to her mom, and when she get paid, she could pay him. But that went away. And you saying it's because of the next generation of people that took on those stores didn't want it and gave it up, and that's where we lost power at.
Look at what we do in the black community now. Gentrification could not have worked if black people didn't sell off their property.
Right.
We don't value concentrated black power. And guess what? America is ran by concentrated racial power. The Chinese are a group. That's a power block. The Arabs are a power block. The homosexuals are a power block. Latinos, Jews, everybody is a power block except us. We're the only people looking for acceptance, participation, and multiculturalism.
Do you think that we are infatuated with instant gratification? Me and my brother was talking about that. And could that be a setback for why we can't progress in the proper, way?
That ain't the main problem, though. You know why? Because we can delay gratification when we're working on our own personal goals. The problem is we don't want to be accountable to other black folks. We don't want to invest in other black folks, and we don't want to be accountable to other black folks. And in other words, all of us in this room decide we're going to open up a business. We got to be accountable to each other. You see what I'm saying? We got to be able to trust each other. We got to be responsible to each other. You know, most of us don't want to do that. Most black people only care about theyself.
Because you didn't grew up in the environment to the people you saying I should trust. That's the people that always cutthroat me. That's the people that always snake. That's what I've been saying since I've been around here.
In the ghetto, growing up in the ghetto, poverty makes it even worse. Poverty is, what are you at? Yeast. You put yeast in bread to make it grow, right?
Right.
Poverty is the yeast of self-hatred. We already got this disease of self-hate. And then you drop me in poverty where everybody is fending for themselves, only worried about their next meal, their next bill, and I don't give a damn about nobody else, because if I did, I couldn't rob them, I couldn't scam them, I couldn't hustle them, and I couldn't kill them. You see that?
Right.
So poverty has made it worse because the desperation for the need for survival has made caring about my race absolutely irrelevant.
And that poverty also trigger to gentrification, because this poverty, I never seen 30, 40, 50, $60,000 no one time. I've been around this bitch eating noodles, red beans, pork and beans for what the people just gonna give me 70,000 for this year?
Right.
This house about to fall down. I'm taking that, and that's poverty.
And it becomes difficult to delay gratification, and it becomes difficult to save when you come from a neighborhood where you see the people you know and care about die very young on a regular basis. So they say, get me some life insurance, right? Get me some health insurance. My uncle died at 40. My brother died at 25. My grandpop died at 60, and I'm saving for what now?
Right.
You see that? I don't expect to live that long, so why am I putting all this money in the white man? Because if I, die too soon or whatever, I'm not going to make that much anyway. So we don't invest because our life has such low value in this society. We don't expect to be around that long to cash in on the investment.
That's fact. That's big fact.
But we don't pass anything on either.
We don't. No intergenerational transfer of wealth.
So that's the biggest problem right there. I heard you when you just spoke on life insurance and not having it and why we shouldn't have it. But that's a selfish mindset, because
we should have it. We should have it
to want to pass on wealth.
We should.
And you know what I'm saying?
We should
keep it going or whatever.
But again, black people are more concerned about how they look to other black people.
What's modern day?
That is a priority for us.
Right.
Appearance and amusement. We like to have fun. Whether that's restaurants, whether that's the cruise, whether that's the nightclub, the comedy show, black people are overcome with appearances and entertainment. We are like overgrown children. And I would argue that the white power structure intentionally keeps black men and women, especially men, emotionally underdeveloped. So you cannot compete with the white man anyway, because you don't value what he wants to control. You see that?
That's big.
We dealing with Air Jordans, Mercedes, Gucci, Louis,
Labels.
Balenciaga. The white man is dealing with who controls the cobalt in Congo. The white man is dealing with who controls the iridium in Haiti. The white man is dealing with who controls the oil in Nigeria, who controls the diamonds in South Africa.
Right.
We stuck on Air Jordans. We stuck on, I just bought a piece of McDonald's. I just invested in Apple. That's cool. But you don't control shit. You'll get your dividend when they pay it out every quarter, right?
Right.
But do you control anything? Like they'll say, well, this celebrity got a 5% interest in Walmart. This celebrity got a 20% interest in the Cleveland Cavaliers. Nigga, they don't own nothing. That ain't no power. Right. When you turn on the news and they talking about so-and-so is now a part owner, did you see the percentage?
One. JC, 1.
You don't run nothing.
1%, right.
So the power games that the white man is dealing with, black men ain't even thinking about.
So is that
go ahead, man.
Is that would you consider that being modern day slavery? That mentality?
I would, and I would also say, as a child is taught, so are his thoughts. If we raise our sons with the most important thing being basketball, football, and rap, what do you expect? These Jews, I'm gonna call them untouchables. These untouchables are training their kids on how to control Wall Street, how to take over the international banking establishment, how to dominate the insurance industry. And we getting our sons ready for AAU basketball camp.
Cause we don't know about that.
That's an excuse.
Right.
Well,
Find out about it. Let me give you an example. I run into parents all the time who say, I didn't know that I could sign my child out of special ed. I didn't know that if special ed was a benefit in my child, I could have made the school pay for them to go to a private school. I didn't know that if I didn't agree with the results of the evaluation, I could demand an independent eval.
Right.
You didn't know that. Right. True. But guess what? You know Dr. Umar. And you've been following Dr. Umar for 15 fucking years. So you mean to tell me I'm a school psychologist by trade, they screwing your kid over, and you didn't care enough about your child to even ask me how to deal with it? You see that?
Right.
You didn't know, but you could have found out.
It's out there. That's
you
what
didn't
you're
care.
No,
we don't try hard enough to compete.
No, I'm glad you covered that, saying, like, know that part.
And we want our women to submit to men who don't want to compete with their oppressor.
Bring it back. That's what I'm talking about. Make it full circle.
I was talking about, like, don't know for, like the people you saying they got the power. Like, them people not aware. They don't know that. And how could that ever change, though? From you saying from that long ago, that type of power, how could the power of them Jewish people, the untouchables, how could that change to black people? And how long would that be? Like, honestly, how could that change?
Number one,
how long?
Here's the thing. We don't have to operate in their dimension.
Right.
Because you're talking about a people who come from a psycho-biological climatic experience that traumatized them in the Ice Age. You ain't never changing a white man. What he went through in that ice has traumatized him forever. This is why a small little country like England, an island, almost controlled a quarter of the entire world. The British Empire, an island like this, controlled 1/3 of the earth and 25% of the people on the planet. Why does a little island need all that gold, all them diamonds, all that oil, all them enslaved Africans? Right now, they got basements full of gold bars. They can't even spend them. But people going hungry. You know why? Because in that ice, we didn't have shit. In that ice, we couldn't grow nothing, couldn't eat nothing. We had to eat each other, eat cannibalism, drink the blood. The only warm was the blood. You feel me?
Right.
No, I got you.
He never want to experience that again. Right. And the white man subconsciously operates on a platform that says, the only way I can make sure I never go through that again is to make sure nobody has the power to put me back in that
position. Right.
He needs the world absolutely powerless to feel comfortable. And this is why black people say, why do white people keep on oppressing us if we already down? You know why?
To stay down?
To stay down.
Stay down. Right.
First of all, he's a numerical minority. You're a numerical majority. You're genetically dominant. He's genetically recessive. It only take one black man to change the color of Europe from white to tan in about 50 years, and from tan to brown in about 75 years, and from white to black in 1 century.
100 years, right.
They can't let up off of you because they have no power to compete. Think about it. They ain't got your genetics. They ain't got your history, and they ain't got your numbers. See, here's the great equalizer between us and them. They have, but having is superficial because you lose it, right? Y'all own everything in this room. You have, but you can lose it. So it's superficial.
Right.
The black woman is the mitochondrial DNA, right?
Right.
She is. The white woman has power. She is the mother of civilization. The white man has power. You are the father of civilization. What you have, they can't take. What they have can be taken at any time.
Dr. Umar, we had power before, like the black men had power before the white people.
Of course. And we allowed them to manipulate us out of it. And a big reason why the creator is upset with black people is because he put us at the front. The first shall be last, the last shall be first. The white man was never intended to rule this planet. You hear me? He was never supposed to get control. And guess who the creator blames for the white man having control? You and I.
Right.
He's mad at us, so guess what? Every sin the white man commits, that's a sin on us too. Because he should have never been in charge. We let him get a foothold. God gave us dominion over the planet, not the pale man. We let the pale man take it from us.
Well, what was the acts of manipulation?
Well, number one,
Oh, that was powerful.
I'm going to tell you where our biggest fall was. He manipulated himself into Africa, that's true. But after he got into Africa, he manipulated us through greed. We forgot greed. We got greedy. And we started selling our own. Most of us was not sold by other black people. The white man had the advantage of military weaponry.
That's what I was about to say. I learned that in school.
Remember, he's in the ice, right?
Right.
So all he can think about is killing and subduing. Right. So while we enjoying ourselves in cultural Africa, he up there trying to come up with every bomb, gun, knife, you feel me?
Right.
So when the white man came up with the bomb, that caught us because he was able to decimate entire villages from the sea without the need for hand-to-hand combat.
Coward moves.
Coward move. They can't beat us in a straight up fight, but them bombs. And then they came with the diseases, weapons of mass destruction. But if we were not greedy for the things he had that we didn't need anyway, he don't get that far. We forgot who we were. We forgot what we believe in. We forgot what we stand for, and we let him come in with this, and well, sell them, and I'll give you this. We didn't even need that stuff, man.
Some of that shit confusing. Cause I be like, when I be talking to people like that, I be like, how they all got the money? How they start?
Well, they made the money. The white man's money is not tied to no resources. They just print it up. The American dollar does not have a mineral equivalent. I don't think the British pound has a mineral equivalent. Most of the white man's money.
Promissory note.
The reason they killed Gaddafi, and I'm not a big Gaddafi fan, right? But I respect what he was doing with the sub-Saharan leaders. They killed Gaddafi because they was working on building a Central African bank. They were going to float their own currency and tie it to the resources. Imagine,
right.
Africa's the richest continent, right? So if we create an African dollar and tie it to the resources, what? Diamond, oil, gas, cobalt, lithium, you feel me?
Right.
You're going to tie an African currency to the resources under Africa?
Where is that?
It's the richest, it's the richest, it's the richest current. That would have been an economic revolution. He had to die.
Right.
The white man would have went under overnight. He had to die. Where are most African currencies printed? In Europe and in America. See that?
Right.
They control everything.
And I asked you about the manipulation because I just recent too, and I think it was Africa. They got white people moving to Africa. And they had the black people, coming around, and they were asking, "What you doing around here?" You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so how what they creating? What they creating there with no manipulation? They just telling the black people, "You can't be around here. You in Africa."
You mean white people in Africa?
But they're
White
saying,
people is in Africa.
Remember,
but they're saying they are African though, right? That's what
No,
their argument. That's what the white people are
that's
saying. That they're
that's their
African.
argument.
right, yeah.
And unfortunately, that's some black people's argument. Like the South African Constitution says, South Africa belongs to everybody who lives in it. Listen to that shit. How can my country that y'all invaded, robbed, and stole, how can it belong to you as much as it belonged to me when you came without an invitation and robbed, stealed, and killed your way in? You see?
Right, you took from it.
Right. The white people in Africa are the descendants of the colonizers who first took the continent. So they're just living off of that original colonial imbalance and unfair power that their gladiator, ruthless, barbarian ancestors set up for them.
In Africa?
In Africa.
And running with that.
There's
as-
places in Africa that if you ain't white, you can't be there. There's an all-white state in South Africa and other countries where white people set up these little areas, right, where they say, we're not leaving. We're going to retreat and put a barricade around this community, and this is only for white folks. And if you black, we better not catch you here after sundown.
What was your welcoming like when you went
To Africa?
for the first time?
I'm more
before the
popular
school
in
stuff?
Africa than I'm in the United States of America. If I lived in Africa, I would need full-time security because I would be too influential and too powerful.
Yeah, but I'm talking about specifically to them white people in Africa.
Oh, I don't deal with them. Time. We got 5 minutes.
All right.
I don't deal with the white folks when I go to Africa. I deal with black people. What am I dealing with white people for?
No, I was just saying like the welcome, like how they like, cause you saying they think they black, they.
No, they don't think they black. They think they African.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
mean-
difference.
Yeah, right.
When they say African, they're not saying black.
Right. They're just saying,
They're saying my ancestor stole this and it's mine now. I'm African. And for me, anybody in Africa who is not a black African is an invader, colonizer, or descendant
I
of
was
one.
about to say.
That include the Arabs in North Africa who took North Africa with a sword and a Quran.
Right. I know you got to go, but I got to ask you about
Go
this
ahead.
because about the Pope.
Oh,
from the Seventh War, man.
there was nothing more disrespectful than for them to put that white man in the Pope ship when they had that brother from Africa, the highest ranking.
Yeah.
You follow me? Bishop or cardinal, whatever they call him. That was his job. You know why he didn't get it? Because he would have cleaned house. The Roman Catholic Church is one of the most corrupt organizations in the world. That brother wasn't going to tolerate them raping no kids.
Right.
He wasn't going to tolerate them laundering money. He would have cleaned up the Roman Catholic Church, and that's why you'll never get an African pope again.
Hey, dog, listen, that's powerful. We don't got to go no further, dog. Hey, man, I really enjoyed this conversation with you, bro.
If I was to talk to the elder who was overlooked for that popeship, why are you still a part of this church?
Right.
That's right.
If I got
you know what it stands for, yeah.
You know what it's, you righteous.
Right.
You know what this stand for. They just played you for this cracker.
Why is you still why is you still
Why are you still a part?
of that faith? Before we get out of here, you know what I'm saying? Let's speak on your
Yes,
book, man. Let's talk
Black
about
Parent
it.
Advocate. I'm very proud of this book. I finished it during COVID. This book is the only book I'm aware of in print that speaks directly to black parents and how they can fight back on their own against the special ed to prison pipeline and the ADHD to medication scam. So if you want a copy, you can order it on my website, drumarjohnson.com. New website coming soon. But I love this book because it's all the letters that parents need to respond to situations. I heard somebody say earlier when we were at the Dimensions grand opening, beauty supply, somebody said, they told me he can't come back to school without medication. And I said, that's illegal. You cannot deny a child education because the parents refuse to medicate. It's illegal. Most parents don't know that. Right. That's why I wrote the book. And I have a letter in here. All they have to do is reproduce the letter, sign it, and give it to the school. You said my son can't come to school without medication? That's illegal. Nobody can deny a child education except the school board. They have to expel him to do that.
Right.
Ain't nobody refer my son for no expulsion. He'll be back in school tomorrow.
Nah, real shit.
powerful.
You gotta
I
know the
appreciate you
laws.
coming through,
Gotta
bro.
know the laws.
Hey,
You have a few copies? Yeah,
No,
you
I
have
want
a
to
few
mention
copies.
where we came seeing you mention. I want you to shout out that.
Say that again.
The dimension, the beauty.
Yes. Make sure you support Dimensions Barber and Beauty Supply, black-owned business, 1136 Franklin Street and Franklin Avenue in Gretna. 1136 Franklin Avenue, Gretna, Louisiana. All your beauty supplies. We don't want to catch you with the Koreans and the Chinese and none of that. No disrespect to them, but we got to support ourselves. So make sure you support Dimensions Barber and Beauty Supply. And a shout out to Sister Malika. Make sure you also support the Africa Love Shop New Orleans. Check them out on social media. Black Queens forever. Snow Bunnies never.